Okay, so good morning class. In the last lecture we have seen what are the different types of machine learning. So this is just the introductory part we had completed in the last lecture. Right? Machine learning is basically divided into the three types. Okay, broadly divided into the three types: unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and reinforcement. So in this lecture we will see in detail more about what do you mean by unsupervised, supervised, and reinforcement learning. So to understand this type of machine learning, supervised and unsupervised learning, I use these two very famous ancient stories to basically understand what is by supervised and unsupervised. In supervised learning, you can see that a person is learned under some supervision. Okay, so there is a proper direction. He is giving you some input. Okay, proper input, and on the basis of proper input, he is giving his output. Means it's performing something. Right. So this is called as a supervised learning. So on the left hand side, you can see that there is one Rishi and Arjuna is there, and the Dronacharya is there. So Arjuna is learned under the supervision of Dronacharya, and Dronacharya taught him a various technique and skill. Okay, and on the basis of that technical skill, the Arjuna learned that particular skill. Okay, so that is called the supervised learning. So there is a predefined learning, predefined all the things available, and that is called the supervised learning. But in unsupervised learning, you can see that the Eklavya, he don't have any guru. He learned itself. So what is the problem he faced? If he fails, so he find out why he failed, and what if he get a corrected answer or corrected thing, so he find out that it is correct, so we can go ahead and all these things. So there is no supervision for his improving the skill in Eklavya condition, while in Arjuna there is one supervisor. He learned under the supervision of the Dronacharya. So what do you mean by the supervised learning? If you go for the definition of supervised, supervised learning, an AI system is present with an data which is labeled, which means that each data tagged with a correct label. The goal is to approximate the mapping of a function so well that when you have any input data, that you can predict the output variable for that data. So in this supervision or supervised machine learning, you can see that there is a label data. So keep in mind that whenever you see the supervised machine learning algorithm, so there must be a label data. We will see in the coming lecture what is the label and label data. So a label data must be there in supervised learning, and there is one mapping function in supervised learning. Okay, there is a predefined mapping function available in supervised learning. What is the use of that mapping function? The mapping function has taken one input as one data, and it will give the output or prediction as an output from that data. So this is all about the supervised learning. How the supervised learning is work. So here, I would like to give you one example. So all of you know that there is a spam mail and not spam mail. Okay. So how you can differentiate that spam mail and the not spam mail? So in your Gmail or in your inbox, there is one provision. You have to mark the incoming mail as a spam mail or not spam mail. So it is a regular practice you can do also. So whenever the new message comes to your inbox, okay, and you find that this mail is not relevant to you, but continuously this comes to your inbox, or regularly come to your in your inbox. So what you have to do? How you can stop that incoming unwanted mail that is not relevant to your information or not relevant to you. So there is one provision in Gmail where you can mark that mail as a spam mail. So once you mark that mail as a spam mail, so the machine learning that learns, or the model is get learned that you say that mail is not related to you. So he marks them or label it as a spam mail, and when the next time the message or mail received from that domain, your trained model get alert and find out that this mail is already banned by you. So he mark it as a spam mail or make it in a category of spam mail, and it will not appear in your mailbox. Okay, so that is a very basic working of the machine learning algorithm. Okay, so there is one input that is called the X, and there is one output Y, and that gives the prediction. So who is the spam mail and who is not a spam mail? How we can decide? Before it, you have to give some training to the model. Okay, so what is the training? In this case, you have to decide which message is not a spam mail and which message is a spam mail. You have to give the proper labeling to that incoming mail, and once you give a proper labeling to the input mail, what is your next task? What is the machine learning next task? Whenever that domain's message comes to your mailbox, it automatically say that, hey, you already say that this is a spam mail, so we are deleting this mail, or it will be not come to your mailbox because you label it as a spam. Okay, so this is called as a classification of emails. So this is come under the supervised machine learning. Another type of, this is another interesting diagram where we can say that learning algorithm, okay, and here you can say that there is one input and there is one output variable, and your model is given the mapping, what is the input and what is the output. Okay. So here one example I would like to share. In supervised learning, let us consider you want to do the prediction on the basis of prediction of a weight on the basis of the height. So this is a very normal example. So what are the input and what are the output here? So here, height of a person, that is 178 centimeter, 180 centimeter, okay, 156 centimeter, whatever the information we are giving. That is the input variable. You call this as the X variable. Okay. And as per the norm, there is a standard norm. So if your height is like this or in between that range, your weight must be in between that range. Okay. So if your height is 178, so your weight must be 70 plus or 70 to 72. Okay. So there is a predefined data. So when you enter your weight as an input, a new input in the X is equal to, let us consider I want to check my weight is proper or not. So I enter my weight, my height is 181. So my height is 181 centimeters. So what will be my weight? It will do the prediction. Okay. Your height is 181 centimeters. So your weight must be 78 kg. So how that system is know that if this person having this age, this height, so what will be his age? Because we already trained that system using the learning algorithm by providing some input, and on the basis of that input, it will give output. So this is called as a supervised learning. So what do you mean by the unsupervised? So in a supervised learning, we have seen that there are the labeled data available. Labeled data available means you already know what is the correct, what is the wrong, what is the yes, what is the no. Okay. But in unsupervised, you don't know about the data, you don't know about the labeling, and on the basis of whatever the output you are receiving, then you have to decide the label. Okay. So this is called the unsupervised. Very basic difference, keep in mind that what is the supervised and what is unsupervised. In supervised, before we start the algorithm, we know about our data, so that is called the supervised learning. And in unsupervised, you don't know about your data, but you label your data after modeling, after training of that data. Then you decide that, okay, this is one of the data and this is another type of the data. Then you are giving them some label, or you are calling them in some keyword. So that is called the unsupervised learning algorithm. Okay, we will see the definition. In unsupervised learning, an AI system is presented with unlabeled and categorized data, and the system algorithm acts on the data without prior training. So we don't have any prior training before it. We are just giving the data to that algorithm, and the output is depend upon the coding algorithm. Subjecting the system to unsupervised learning is one way of the testing. Okay, so when you get the output that depend on the what are the coding or what are the algorithm you are used, then and then you can decide what is your output. So let us consider this. So on the left hand side, you can see that there are the number of pictures. So you can categorize that. See how many are ducks there, how many are mice there, how many are the rats there. Okay. So basically there are the mixture of data. There is a mixture of data. So this mixture of data you are giving to the unsupervised learning. I am not giving any labels to this data before giving it to the machine learning algorithm. Here on the left hand side you have the combination, you have the mixture of data. Okay. There may be one class, there may be a two class, there may be 100 class. You don't know how many data is available on your left hand side. But once you use this data as an input for this unsupervised learning, you will get the grouping data. That's called as the group data, classified data. Okay, so how is it classified? I would like to say 100%. This is called as a duck. Why you call it a duck? Because you can see that their legs, their hands, okay, their eyes. So somewhere there are some similarities. Okay, so all these elements having the maximum number of similarity in between their leg, in between their hand, in between their face, in between their among their eyes. So we call that they are come in one group, or they are belonging to the one class, and I name that class is a duck because they have some similarity. On the other hand, you can see at the bottom there is again the mixture fact. I say that these are not a duck. I don't know what is that, but I confirmly say that these are not a duck. Okay, so roughly I divided this or labeled this data, either it is a duck or it is not a duck. Okay, I hope all of you understand now. What is the supervised? In unsupervised learning, you are giving some data to unsupervised learning. Okay, and as the output, you are getting some classes where or group, okay, where one group having some similarity, in their characteristics. So we label it as one of the names. For example, in upper side you can see that it is a so as you name it is a duck, so second group is called as a not a duck. Okay. So let us consider first group is a boy, so second group is not a boy. That may be anyone. The first group is a heighted person. The second one is a, I don't know who is that group. That is, but I name it as a not heighted person. Okay. So you can label your data after the implementation of this algorithm. So that is called as the unsupervised learning. Okay. And the next one, so you can say that this is a clustering also. Clustering, that is K-means clustering, you will see that is also the unsupervised learning. So here we are giving the some input to the machine learning algorithm, and a learning algorithm understands this data, and on the basis of the some common characteristics or attribute, it makes a cluster, and then you decide the name of that cluster. Okay, so that is called as a unsupervised learning. For example, in a class, make a group of students on the basis of height. So before we giving this data to machine learning algorithm, okay, about the height of a student, so I don't know how many clusters will be generated. It may be a there may be a 2 cluster, there may be a 3 cluster, there may be a 4 cluster. I don't know how many clusters will be generated by machine learning algorithm on the basis of the height of the student. But whatever the cluster or group created by machine learning algorithm, I will definitely say that after once it create a cluster, I will give the name. So the first cluster is called the highest heighted student in my class. The second cluster is second highest heighted student in my class, and so on. Okay, so there may be two to three students in one first cluster because they are very heighted. Okay, and in the second cluster there may be a 10 to 15 students. In the third cluster there may be a 15 to 20 students, and so on. But when we implement my machine learning algorithm on the left hand side, I don't know how many clusters will be generated. So that is called as unsupervised. So there is no predefined label here. So as per your output, you decide the label. Okay, so that is called as unsupervised learning. The another type of machine learning algorithm is called as reinforcement learning. Okay, so what is a reinforcement learning? The reinforcement learning algorithm learn by interacting with an environment. This is very interesting. Okay, it receives the reward by performing correctly and penalties for performing correctly. It learns without intervention from the human by maximizing its reward and minimizing its penalty. And it is a type of dynamic programming to train the algorithm using the system reward and the punishment. I just want to make a correction here. Okay, so what is the reinforcement learning? So reinforcement learning is a part of agent, that is called as a terminology is called as a software agent. Okay, so the reinforcement learning algorithm learn by interacting with environment. So what is the environment here? You probably know about in a AI subject, artificial intelligence, what in the environment. So the environment means where you want to implement your model. Okay, so that environment may be, it is a educational domain. So according to the educational domain, e-learning system, your agent will be work. If it is any transportation problem, so your agent will be work as per the transportation problem and so on. So that is called the environment. See, this reinforcement learning, in the reinforcement learning, there is a concept called as the reward and the penalty. So if your agent or if your algorithm giving a proper output, you can give a reward. Otherwise, if you give the wrong answer, you can give a penalty. So if the reward is increases, so it means that you are on the correct path. So your agent will be work fine and more correctly. And if your agent getting a penalty, number of penalties, it means that your agent is not working fine. So this reinforcement learning basically used in the AI-based game. So this AI-based game, in the AI-based game you play where there is some points, you have to take a point, and as soon as you are getting increasing the point, your system, that particular, you may, let us consider you are working with a car in AI game, so that is that speed is getting increases or something, you are getting something wrong. Okay. So this reinforcement learning, if you play the AI-based game, so that is totally based on the reinforcement learning concept. Okay. So in this example also you can see that this is a very good example of reinforcement learning, right? So let us consider there is one environment, and in that environment I make one agent, I make one software agent, and there are the two targets. Okay, tasks, you can see that there are the two tasks. Now, what is the task? The agent has to decide either he went to the left hand side or the right hand side. So if he went to his right hand side, so there is a fire, so obviously he gets the minus point. Why? Because if he touched the fire, so he may get, there is a chances to burn. So he has to select an action. But if he gets the reward on when you went to the left hand side, so he gets the reward, for example. Okay, so the next time when here he wants to take a decision, he understands first his past experience. In the past experience, when he turned to the left hand side, so he gets the penalty. So next time he is very much cautious about that and try to avoid to went on the left hand side because there is a fire. So how that system is know that? On the basis of their reward and penalty. So if he gets the maximum reward, so he decides that on the basis of the reward, he takes the decision. And this is a diagrammatic information, diagram is information of the reinforcement. So there is one agent and he has to take the action as per his environment. If he gets the reward, otherwise he gets the penalty. So this is all about the different types of machine learning algorithm. So that there are basically three types of machine learning algorithm: supervised, unsupervised, and the reinforcement learning. Any doubt, any questions for this part? Yes, Aditya Gupta is there. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Any question on the...
No, sir. No, sir.